What's up and welcome to How I Roll, where reading rule books is not allowed. So go ahead, take that rule book and use it for target practice, because today I'm going to teach you how to set up and play Bullseye. Bullseye is a cooperative party game designed by Mike Belsole and Kendall, and it's published by 25th Century Games, who helped sponsor this video. It's for 3 to 8 players and it will take you about 30 minutes to play. So grab your bow and arrow, pull up to the table, and let's hit the bullseye. In Bullseye, the group teams up so one archer can guess a secret word or phrase from a given category. Clue givers build clues one letter at a time on their arrow boards, but with the ambiguity of not knowing for sure what the clue is that they're working on. You'll need to practice your best mind reading skills in order to thrive and get as close to the bullseye as possible. Let's put your marksmanship to the test. Setup for this game is super quick. First, place this fancy target board in the center of the play area. Then, shuffle the deck of category cards and place it face down by the target. Then each player takes a marker as well as an arrow board, which they should place in front of them pointing to the left. Randomly choose someone to be the archer or guesser for the first round, and you're set up and ready to play. Talk about a fast game to set up. Each round, the player who takes on the role of the archer is going to be trying to guess the target word that has been selected by another player. The team will work together to give the archer clues so that they can guess the word, and hopefully do so in as few turns as possible. To begin the round, the archer draws 2 category cards and chooses the one that they want to use and passes it to the player on their left, who will be the clue giver for the first round. That clue giver writes a word or phrase in that category on the back of this card that now becomes the target. This target should be something that everyone at the table would be at least somewhat familiar with, unless you're just trying to be that guy that's trying to bring the whole team down. Don't be that guy. I'm begging you. For example, if the clue giver was given the category musical instrument, they could write saxophone or didgeridoo or guitar. Once they've written the target word or phrase, they show it to everyone at the table except the archer, and then they place the card on the target board like this, with only the category showing. The goal for the team is to try to give the archer clues so that they can make like Robin Hood and nail that target. Each player, besides the archer, thinks of a word that corresponds to the target and writes the first letter on their arrow in the 20-point space and places their arrow face down. A quick note about these clue words. A clue must be a single word and it must be comprised of letters. And it can even be an acronym or an abbreviation. The word can also be any length, although if it's more than 5 letters, it won't all be able to be written on the arrow. Clues can't use symbols, numbers, punctuation, or anything else that's not a letter. And it also can't be any part of the target word. Like if the target word was sunshine, your clue couldn't be sun or shine. Once all players have written their first letter, everyone flips their arrow face up so that the archer can see the beginnings of these clues. The archer can now try to surmise what clue words might be being signaled from these initial letters. This will be extremely difficult with only 1 letter, but perhaps you're a legend and can pull it off. If the archer isn't quite sure what the target word might be, they simply say pass, and all players pass the arrow in front of them to the player on their left, of course skipping the archer. Now each player takes the new arrow in front of them and adds to the clue by writing the next letter in the leftmost available box, which would be under the 10 at this point in the game. But Ryan, if it's not their original arrow, how can they possibly know what the clue word is? I'm so glad you asked. That's the big plot twist in this dartboard dilemma. Now each clue giver is inferring what the previous player was trying to communicate and adding to it. For example, this player just passed me a word that begins with the letter S. Since the target is guitar, I think it could be strings or solo or maybe even shred. I decide strings might be the safest bet, so I add a T. If you're feeling really stumped and can't even begin to imagine what the player before you was thinking, you can just draw an underscore to signify a blank space. If you ever receive an arrow board with blank spaces like this and feel like you know what's up, you can fill in these blanks and also add a letter. If you complete the clue word on an arrow and there are still empty boxes left, draw a solid vertical line like this, and the next player will be able to begin a new clue on this arrow. Continue passing arrows like this and adding 1 letter at a time until the archer decides to make a guess. They only ever get 1 guess, so this is make or break type stuff. They announce what they believe the target word is, and if they're right, you score the number of points above the last place letter on the arrow boards and mark it on the target. So for this target that was guessed after the 4th letter, the team marks that they got 5 points. However, if the archer is incorrect, the round ends and the team marks a miss on the outer ring, showing the world that they can't be trusted with real arrows. Also, it might be obvious, but since each arrow can only hold 5 letters, the archer must make a guess by the end of the 5th turn, regardless of how confident they're feeling. Once the archer has taken a guess and the points or the miss has been marked, it's time for a new round. Remove the category card, erase the arrow boards, and begin a new round with the player to the left of the archer becoming the new archer. Continue playing rounds like this until everyone has been the archer once in a 6 to 8 player game, or each player has been the archer twice in a 3 to 5 player game. There's also one small adjustment if you're only playing with 3 players. Instead of each clue giver having 1 arrow in front of them, they have 2 arrows. Each turn, you will write a letter on both of these arrows to work on each of these clues independently. When the archer passes, you will pass your left-hand arrow to the other clue giver, move your right-hand arrow to your left side, and place the arrow that is being passed to you on your right-hand side. Once the game is over, players circle their top 5 scores on the target board and add these numbers together. Compare this total to the score chart in the rulebook to find out how you fared and if you have any chance of qualifying for an archery crossword combo event in the next Olympics. However your team did, I hope you had fun combining telepathy and teamwork to play Bullseye, and that this video helped you get into it even faster than if you had had to read the rulebook. For more how to plays and other board game content, please hit like and subscribe so we can keep rolling together. If anything's unclear to you in this game or you blank on a rule mid-round, drop a comment below and I'll get right back to you. I've also included the BoardGameGeek link in the description for more details, photos, and discussion about this game. Thanks for watching another Rip Up the Rules on How I Roll. There's always room at the table for you.